Well, hello, intrepid explorers into the world of globalization and contextualization. We are now approaching week 3. Glad that you're still on the journey with us. I hope that you're really stretching the way that you're thinking about this, and you're diving into the conversations around globalization and contextualization and education head first. So let's talk about what you're going to be doing this week in terms of preparation as you get ready for coming to class. We've got several objectives which I think are really important to consider. We're gonna think about the importance of states, the public sector in particular, governments in particular, and whether or not they're strong or weak, and how the private sector is a part of that equation, so to speak. And we're going to think about that in terms of the impact that it has on education. Now remember, in a lot of the videos that you'll see in the preparation each week, there isn't a specific education content, although this week there's a lot. So we often have to put education into the mix, even though it isn't explicitly stated by the speakers in the videos or whatever it is. And so I want you to do that as well here. We're going to think about neoliberalism in particular. It's a word that gets tossed around a lot in education and development circles, certainly in the field of comparative and international education and in the field of education policy. It's an important word to understand. There are some very strong opinions about it. You'll see some, I think, really important speakers or speaker on it in a video down below. We're going to talk about the role of culture, order, and scapes, different kinds of environments or contexts, and how that relates to both globalization and how that is also representative of the impact that local context can have on global phenomenon or global agendas. So a lot of the discussion around globalization is that it is very top-down or one way. And we want to consider ways that globalization and contextualization work hand in hand or complement with an E, complement one another. And this is a way to start doing that. As usual, you're going to start by reading the required section out of your text. That should actually say part 2, explaining globalization, so I'll be fixing that before you see this. So please read all of part 2, explaining globalization, in the Lechner and Boley reader. Oh, look at that, just like magic, it says part 2. All right, so read all of part 2, explaining globalization. Now, I've also linked a PDF of about 20-some pages from Leslie Sclair's Globalization, Capitalism, and Its Alternatives. It gives a nice overview. In fact, let me just click on it so you can see what it looks like. I think it gives a nice overview of some of the different approaches to globalization that maybe you won't see in as much fullness in the other readings that we have for class. I'm trying to go down to where he starts talking about, yeah, here it is. The 4 sources of globalization research are world systems approach, that's Wallerstein; global culture approach, we're going to see that in Meyer and others; the global polity and society approach, and the global capitalism approach. Those are, I just think it's a really good sort of summary of what's going on and how to think about it. But it's optional. I know that you have a lot going on this week, and it's kind of a heavy video load in the prep part this week. So this is there if you want to look at it, or maybe you want to save it for later. All right, as we get into the modules, there are about 2 hours of videos that you could watch here, and I'm going to leave it up to you as to how much you watch. Obviously, I'm only expecting you to spend about an hour in preparation for class, because we still want to spend some time in class going over stuff. I don't want all of your time to be out of class. This is meant to be preparation, not a replacement. So even though there are about 2 hours of videos to watch in the prep stuff, you make a decision about how much of this you watch, and if it seems like it's helpful to you as you're going through it, then continue. If not, then don't. You'll see that in Module 1, Conceptualizing Globalization in Education, there are 4 15-minute videos from me. Those are all related to ways to think about globalization and education. These are videos that I recorded actually a couple of years ago, but for the same class. It uses different readings than you have assigned to you for the most part for this semester, but the concepts are the same and the ideas are the same. And if you want to see inside my brain a little bit, it's kind of muddied and confusing, but there it is. You can do that. And again, this is maybe something that you want to pick and choose. Since you got me live, you might not need to watch all the videos. In the second module for this week, we're really going to be asking questions about the economy, because a lot of the globalization theories and a lot of the perspectives and a lot of the critiques of globalization really have the economy at the center of it all. And so we're going to be looking at a bigger overview of some globalization theories from, I don't know if you've ever heard of this small little group called the Khan Academy. But then also spending a little time just looking specifically at neoliberalism. So sort of a 3-minute primer on what neoliberalism is, which has a nice education example in it. And then looking at about 10 minutes from Henry Giroux, who is now he's a professor at McMaster University in Canada, but before that he was at Penn State University. Actually, when I was a doc student, he was at Penn State University, so I know him from back in those days. He's very much anti-neoliberal, and you'll see that here. I think he's an interesting guy, and will give some good perspectives for us to move forward. Then we have glocalization and scape. So this is a module that deals with the ways that the local and the global interact with one another, and whether or not it is a top-down or a two-way process. And so we've got videos from two of the authors from chapters in the section from the required text that we'll be reading. We'll have Roland Robertson, and then we'll have Arjun Appadurai. We'll see them, and then we'll have a little K-pop in the middle. So think about the ways that the videos sort of support or give examples for the ways that the global and the local interact. Okay, as usual, please come prepared with your answers to all of the questions at the end of Part 2, Explaining Globalization. We might not go over all of them individually, but it's good to prepare them, and it's part of your preparation for discussion in the class. And then, as always, don't forget to post your comments. And if you're not the first one, then you need to have a constructive critique of the comments from the person that posted right before you, right here in the Leave a Reply section. All right, folks, I will see you soon.